No attendees yet.
Yeah, I'm just checking. Let me. Okay, we're gonna start. So welcome everyone to today's webinar for our Graduate School of Health Sciences at Koç University. Whilst we wait for people to join the webinar, I'm going to briefly introduce today's speakers. So we have Professor Yasemin Gürsoy Özdemir, who is the director of Koç University's Graduate School of Health Sciences. She's a professor of neurosciences who graduated from HANDBOOK University here in Turkey. She obtained her PhD from this institution. And I'll ask her later on to tell us more about herself and her research as well. My name is Melissa Bache. I'm the Director of International Student Recruitment at Koç University. And I will be giving you the information about the university, our research activities, and the support that we provide to graduate students. So the idea for today is that we're going to learn a bit more about the university in case you're not familiar with our institution, especially if you're joining us from outside of Turkey. We will look at the Graduate School of Health Sciences in terms of the programs that it offers, the laboratories, its student body and alumni. Then we will look at admission requirements for those master and PhD programs for fall 2021. We have a couple of updates regarding the COVID-19 possible challenges or barriers that will be faced by some candidates, both in Turkey and outside of Turkey, because we know you have questions about this. And then we will look at tuition, financial aid, and benefits for our master and PhD programs. At the end, we will have an opportunity for you as participants to ask questions to our Graduate School of Health Sciences director. So to give an overview of the university, our university was set up more than 25 years ago with the aim of becoming a center of excellence that would provide world-class education and would create new knowledge for the benefit of society. It was established in Istanbul, Turkey, as a foundation university. In Turkey, we have public and private non-for-profit, or what they're called foundation universities. So our university is one of them and has very quickly become one of the top universities in the country, if not the best university in many aspects, and I will explain why. When you look at our different figures about the university, you can see that we have 7,000 students. So within the context of Turkey, we're still a small university. Most of those students are undergraduate students across 7 colleges. But we have been steadily growing the number of graduate programs and therefore graduate students across 4 graduate schools. Today, we're talking about one of those graduate schools, the Graduate School of Health Sciences. We have now a very strong body of alumni, both in Turkey and outside of Turkey, who also actively contribute to our university's community. And of course, the most important part are faculty members. I will talk in more detail about the faculty members associated with our School of Medicine and the graduate programs in the Graduate School of Health Sciences. But this is a big reason why we have become one of the best universities in Turkey. It's because of the quality of our faculty members in terms of the research that they're conducting and the quality of teaching that they provide to both our undergraduate and graduate students. Internationalization is a big part of who we are as a university. And from the beginning, we were able to establish very good exchange programs for our students with now more than 290 partner universities in more than 60 countries. This includes excellent universities in countries like the United States, in the European Union, in Asia, and everywhere, basically. So one thing that you will see is that we are a research-focused university, and that is evident through different ways. The idea is that our research contributes on a global scale, not just to address issues or questions relevant to Turkey, but on a global scale. It aims to be cross-disciplinary, and in the way that we are setting up our graduate programs, our research centers and laboratories, the idea is that faculty members and researchers from different disciplines can collaborate with each other in an easy way. So the idea is that we remove barriers for disciplinary collaboration. The result of that is that we're now the top recipient of national research awards given by different institutions in Turkey. We're also the highest recipient of European Research Council grants in Turkey. So these are extremely competitive and very difficult to obtain grants that are awarded by the European Commission for individual researchers in any of the European Union countries. So Turkey, now Koç University has more than half of all the grants in Turkey. We're also the highest ranking in Turkey in terms of the number of papers published and the impact of those publications across different disciplines. One of the things that also distinguishes us as a university is our strong relations with industry, both in Turkey and outside of Turkey. But the university itself has been able to establish very successful research centers with different companies. For example, we have recently launched an infectious disease research center in collaboration with İş Bankası, which is one of the oldest and largest banks in Turkey. We'll talk about this in more detail later. When we look at the number of research and development projects, in the past more than 10 years now, you can see that we have been increasing the number and the value of projects steadily. 2020 was a particularly good year in which, for example, we received funding for the ERA chair, which is related to transplant immunology. And I will ask Professor Yasemin to tell us a bit more about that later. And as well, as I mentioned, an infectious disease center with İş Bank that was funded last year. Now, within all of the different disciplines that Koç University excels in, there are some in which we have become globally significant, or the number of citations that the papers published by our faculty members is amongst the top worldwide. Two of those areas are particularly relevant to the Graduate School of Health Sciences. One is in molecular medicine, molecular biology and genetics, and nanomedicine. And the other area is cognitive psychology and neuroscience. And we're lucky that, again, Professor Yasemin is a professor of neuroscience, and she can tell us in a lot more detail about the different topics or research subjects that are being explored in neuroscience at our university and in the PhD and master programs. For those of you, again, you might not be familiar with the university, so that's why this may be a useful way to compare us in context to other universities. When we look at rankings in the 2021 latest rankings, both for Times Higher Education and QS, we are ranked first in Turkey and in the top 500 or top 500 universities in the world. This is particularly impressive when you consider that we are a very young university. In specific subject rankings, when it comes, for example, to health and or clinical and preclinical health, this is a Times Higher Education ranking. Within Turkey, you can see that we are now in the top 3 universities in Turkey for health sciences. This is impressive in the sense that when you look at the top first and second universities, these are much, much larger universities in terms of faculty numbers and student numbers, of course, and much, much older universities. So our School of Medicine and our Graduate School of Health Sciences have been able to, deliver a lot of, I need to go back to the previous slide. Very impressive research in the past 10 years since the school was established. Another important thing to consider when you are looking at different options for your graduate studies are the different memberships or accreditations that either the university or the individual graduate school may have. Our Graduate School of Health Sciences is a member of ORPHEUS, which is an organization of PhD education in biomedicine and health sciences in the European system. It's a very long name, but basically it means that as a school, we are committed to developing and disseminating best practice within PhD training programs. It means that, for example, we have to pay particular attention to constantly improving the research environment and the academic output of both our faculty members and our graduate students in order to become amongst the best graduate schools in health sciences in the European Union. We are now aiming to have the ORPHEUS label. And Professor Yasemin, I think you have some news about 2022 about hosting the annual conference.
Yes, actually, May 22, 2022, we will host a general meeting of the ORPHEUS at Koç University Istanbul. And this will also bring us very close to the research improvement and the academic output development, and also for the better education of our advisors for the best practices in the health sciences. And I hope we will get the label also. So this is a good news.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's the idea is that we are able to demonstrate how we're continuously improving our research environment. Another important milestone for our university was that we were awarded the Human Resources Excellence in Research Award by Euraxis earlier this year. So that means that we are committed to comply with the principles in the European Charter for Researchers and the Code of Conduct for the recruitment of researchers. So again, that means, you know, this puts Koç University in a unique position within Turkey and also in the European research area. And there are different ways in which we can demonstrate how important for us are human resources, especially researchers. That starts, for example, from the moment you become a graduate student, either as a master's or a PhD student. You receive a lot of support, you know, from our graduate school. For example, this is just an example. We have a student handbook which you receive upon being accepted, and you have all the information you need there to help you take the first steps. You know, when you're starting your first semester at the university, it has a lot of practical information, resources, how to do things, who to ask for information, so that you are able to focus entirely on your courses, especially your first semester courses, and afterwards as well. Another important thing is, of course, all of our programs. This is something I should have mentioned. Koç University offers all of its undergraduate and graduate programs in English. However, we know that, you know, English may not be the native tongue for most of our students. So we do need to provide support in that sense. And we do have, we offer all of our graduate students the academic writing course. It's a compulsory non-credit course. And the idea is that it helps to significantly improve their academic reading and writing skills so that they're able to properly, you know, write their theses, write papers, present posters, present at conferences. And this is part of the support that we provide. Another type of support provided to graduate students is through our Office of Learning and Teaching, called KUTTAM, because all of our graduate students are required to provide teaching assistantship as part of their you know, their time at the university. So we're not expecting people to know how to teach without any training. So we provide specific training in terms of effective teaching, micro teaching workshops, for example, for laboratories, how to use learning management systems, how to manage diverse cultures in a classroom, how to manage a classroom, how to do grading properly. So there's a lot of resources, and you can see the website where you can find more information about this. And of course, you know, it's all about a healthy work-life balance as a graduate student and as a researcher. So our Graduate School of Health Sciences organizes every year research days. And as part of those research days, there are specific workshops dedicated to supporting our students in achieving well-being. So some of those workshops that have been organized in 2019 and also in 2020, even though in 2020 they were held online, have to do, for example, with stress management, sleep hygiene, nutrition, you know, procrastination. That's a big topic for graduate students worldwide. So, you know, we try to help our students on the way to avoid the pitfalls of any of these issues. So now moving to another topic that I really like, which is our campus, which is where you would study as a graduate student in health sciences at Koç University. So as a student, as a master or PhD student in health sciences, you would take some courses and some classes at our main campus in Rumelifeneri, which is, I mean, it's the name of the area. It's in the district of Sarıyer in the northwest of the European side of Istanbul. This is a panoramic view of our campus, but on our website, you can find, you know, there's a virtual campus tour. You can see more details about each section of the campus. Here you can see our dormitories. We have a 24-hour, 7 days a week health center, of course, the main library, the academic buildings, and it's just a very beautiful, safe, quiet environment to study in. But you will be spending most of your time actually in our health sciences campus, which is at the Koç University Hospital. And that's located in the Topkapi area of Istanbul, which is, again, on the European side and very well connected in terms of public transport. You can see on our website, of course, more details about the hospital. It's a brand new hospital, well, brand new, it's been now 6 years. It was opened in late 2014, but this is where we have now our School of Medicine and all of our graduate school of health sciences, laboratories and programs, if I'm not wrong. Please correct me if I am. Yasemin.
Yeah, actually we are present on both campuses.
Exactly. Okay. Now, another part of the campus experience at Koç is not just, of course, the facilities, but also the people. And in that sense, what we can tell you is that we have a very diverse and very intellectually engaging community of students, faculty, and staff. Who, yes, of course, meet each other in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. These are different examples of that I just picked from things that we have seen recently. But this is, for example, our ballet class, which is open to graduate students as well. These are some of our business students having a dinner by the Bosphorus, which is not far from our campus, from our main campus in Rumelifeneri. So it's part of the experience that you will have here for either, for example, 2 or 4 years of your life as a master or PhD student. If you're an international student, we know that it can be hard at first to adapt, to meet new people, to learn Turkish, which we strongly recommend. So we have an international community office that organizes specific events and specific activities to help international students integrate. So they have, for example, Turkish practice hours, which are done with volunteer Turkish native speakers. The library organizes virtual book club talks. I mean, this year they have been virtual and last year as well. But they also organize a lot of trips in Istanbul and in Turkey for international students. Now, of course, a big part of the campus experience is also the library. So we have, our main library is called Suna, Kıraç, and we have 4 other specialized libraries. The biggest strength of this library, besides it being a very beautiful building and excellent just for studying, is the electronic resources that it offers to graduate students. And not only the resources, but the specific training that they provide graduate students in how to become better researchers. So when you go to the website, which you can see on the screen, you can see all of the different types of tools, support, training, activities that they offer to graduate students. You can also follow them on Instagram, where you can see all of the activities that they're organizing. This is particularly important if during your undergraduate studies you haven't had that much training in terms of the use of databases, for example, or how to access different journals. These are the things that you will learn very quickly as a graduate student here. And of course, it's not all about studying. Sometimes you also have to spend some time enjoying yourself. And in that sense, we have a very active cultural center called Suna Kıraç Cultural Center, which is the name of our main auditorium, where we have, during the semester, there is a lot of cultural activities that can be, theater, dance, movie or like cinema showing, but also outside of that, our campus is always brimming with activities, especially during the spring and summer terms. And these are all organized by our cultural center. Okay, so now we come to the main part of today's webinar. The idea is that we use this opportunity to learn more about our health sciences graduate school. Just to give you a very quick snapshot of it. Our graduate school was established in 2011, and the idea is that it provides a platform for integrating students and faculty who would like to develop innovative or novel studies in health sciences. How do we do that? What's the combination? Let's see. So we put together 26 different graduate programs, and I will show in the next slide what the programs are, which are all taught in English with the exception of nursing or PhD in nursing. Those programs are taught by 70 internationally recognized faculty members who are affiliated to the School of Medicine. But of course, In each program, you will see that there's also faculty members from other colleges of the university, such as engineering, sciences, social sciences. For example, we have professors in psychology teaching in some of our courses. So all of them together are responsible for the teaching and the academic supervision of 200 plus students at the graduate school. We're very proud, I think, that given it's a fairly new graduate school at the university, that it already has 10% of its student body. It's coming from outside of Turkey. It's international students. So for those of you who are not Turkish, you should be assured that you won't be alone, let's say, in your program. There's other international students in each program. Those students and those faculty members work together in, of course, in classrooms, but most of the time they're at laboratories. In that sense, we have 10 cutting-edge technology laboratories, and Yasemin Hoca, when I say Hoca, that means teacher, for those of you who are coming from outside of Turkey. So she will tell us more details about each of those laboratories and the opportunities that it provides to graduate students. And as I mentioned, besides the laboratory infrastructure, there's also the clinical infrastructure available at the Koç University Hospital. We also have a very specific and very unique feature at our Graduate School of Health Sciences, which is that all of our graduate students are able to participate and benefit from the activities developed by KUTTAM, which is the largest translational medicine research center in Turkey. It was established at the end of 2017. It's now been almost 3 years. You can see on their website, which we will show later, all of the amazing activities and research that is taking place in that center. So I will now ask Yasemin Hoca to tell us a bit more about the master and PhD programs at the Graduate School of Health Sciences. I would ask you to maybe give us a few kind of details about each program in terms of what do you think are the strengths of each, and then I will continue to talk about the format of those courses that students can expect.
Okay, thank you very much, Melissa. Actually, we have master and PhD programs. Our master programs include neuroscience and cellular molecular medicine, as well as they have the PhD programs. These two programs, neuroscience and cellular molecular medicine, master and the PhD programs, they are the programs that we have the most of our students are placed here, and I think most of our faculty members have the very well-known reputation for this neuroscience and the cellular molecular medicine areas. That's why the students are applying more, and we are getting more students for these programs. But we have newly established immunology and global health programs, and these master programs have both immunology program have both thesis and non-thesis option, and we have actually for the immunology program, it is just established last year, and we have actually get the European grant to School of Medicine for the transplant immunology, and now we are opening a center for the transplant immunology at the Koç University Hospital, and that's why our immunology program, will be also like the big programs in our graduate school, I think, in the future. And as well as the immunology program, we have established the global health program, and this year we will get the students to the global health program. This is a non-thesis and thesis master program, so it will also get a lot of, I think, a lot of students from internationally as well as from Turkey. And global health program is also very much includes the other faculty members other than the School of Medicine, like the social sciences and the especially business administration, psychology, and the medical sciences also. So it will be, again, a good program, I think. And we have also some programs running together with the other faculties like the molecular biology and genetics, other institutes, biomedical sciences and engineering. So these are the joint programs with the Graduate School of Science and Engineering. And we have the nursing programs, nursing master and the PhD program. Actually, we are now, we don't accept the nursing master students, and we are now focusing on the full-time nursing PhD students for the future of the nursing programs. But we are recruiting critical care nursing master students, but we actually they are also required to work full-time here, doing their master degree. And then we have the medical physiology and medical microbiology programs for the master programs. They are with the thesis. And actually, this year we opened the medical microbiology PhD program. As you know, in our COVID days, the microbiology and infectious diseases, they are becoming a big, important area subject. And we have, as Melissa said, that established a new center with the İş Bankası, Koç University Infectious Disease Center. And actually our PhD students or master and PhD students in the medical physiology, medical microbiology, they will work there as part of their education. I think these are the programs. Anything to add, Melissa?
Thank you very much, Yasemin. We will talk about specific features of some of them a bit later, especially our immunology and global health programs. In terms of the overall structure, this is based on the national regulations in Turkey established by the Higher Education Council of Turkey. So our PhD programs have a duration of 4 years. Students should take a minimum of 7 courses if they're admitted with a master's degree, if you have completed a master's degree, or a minimum of 14 courses if you are admitted with a bachelor's degree. There is a PhD qualifying exam after you have completed your courses, and then you work under the supervision of a faculty member to write and defend a research thesis. Our master with thesis programs have a duration of 2 years, and you have a minimum of 7 courses, and you develop a research thesis also under the supervision of a faculty member. And then we have masters without thesis, which have a duration of 1 year, in which you take a minimum of 10 courses and you complete a graduation project. For master with thesis program, there are specific things you may want to know. All of this information is available on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website, specifically on their student handbook. But just so that you know, it's very similar to what you would expect from, for example, an American university, master program. So once you are accepted to the program, you would be in touch with your academic coordinator to start planning which courses you're going to take in your first semester, according to the type of research that or the subjects that you're interested in. And you're able to select those courses even after the first week of classes has started. It's important to select the course as well. Now, for master students, all the courses should be completed by the end of the 3rd semester, okay? Because the master is completed in, as we said, in 2 years or 4 semesters, or a maximum of 6. If you face any difficulties along the way and you perhaps need to take some time off, the national regulations in Turkey establish that you have a maximum of 6 semesters to complete a master with thesis program. Besides the courses which are relevant to the program, whether it's medical microbiology, global health, immunology, there are some non-credit required courses that all students need to take. This, as I mentioned, one of them is the academic writing in English. There's a teaching experience that you do as a teaching assistant. Then, of course, the thesis and seminar course, and there are specific courses on bioethics and biostatistics that all Graduate School of Health Sciences students need to take. Now, there's also a mandatory course on scientific research methods and publication ethics that does have credit value. And importantly, this is what I was talking about earlier about, being a cross-disciplinary research university. As a graduate student, for example, in immunology, if you want to take courses from other departments, this could be in engineering, it could be in molecular biology and genetics, it could be in social sciences, you can take that with, after you have discussed that with your academic supervisor. In order to graduate as a student from our master's programs, master with thesis programs, you should have a GPA of 3 out of 4 in order to graduate. We get asked this question sometimes. For PhD program, of course, the journey, it's a bit longer and a bit complicated. Here, it's simplified. In reality, of course, we know that it's not a straight kind of line. There's bumps and bumps and crashes along the way everywhere as a PhD student. But again, you have a certain number of non-credit required courses. As I said, the PhD program, any of our PhD programs should be completed in a maximum of 4 years, which is 8 semesters, or a maximum of 12. That's the maximum duration you can be a PhD student in Turkey. As I mentioned, there is a PhD qualifying exam, which should be taken at the end of the 5th semester. You can also take courses from other departments. And before you take the qualifying exam, all of the academic courses should be completed by the end of the 4th semester. This changes whether if you were admitted having completed a master's degree, or if you were admitted to the PhD program directly after completing your bachelor's degree. So as Professor Yasemin was mentioning, we are very excited to have launched recently, in the last year, 2 programs which are specifically aimed as master non-thesis program for working professionals. So for those of you who are not looking to have or to continue, or your career goal is not specifically related to staying in academia or in pure research, but you want to apply or have specialized knowledge in the areas of immunology or global health for advancing professionally in specific industries or in specific employment sectors, then we have developed these programs that you can see on the screen. You can find more information about each of them in terms of the courses, the faculty members, the different projects that you have, where you can work afterwards on the program websites. And why do we think why, let's say, they are a very attractive option for professionals, people who want to work full-time while studying, or at least work part-time and study part-time. First of all, of course, it's the reputation of Koç University in Turkey and outside of Turkey. So within Turkey, already a Koç University graduate degree is the gold standard of graduate education. So it's something that employers immediately recognize as being a good quality standard. And as I mentioned, we have a very extensive alumni network, and our faculty members provide an amazing career network across hundreds of partner institutions in industry, whether that's health, like in state organizations, private organizations, non-governmental organizations, in health, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, and other areas. The other reason is flexibility. So these professional master programs like immunology and global health are designed to be completed in 1 year. So it means that you don't need to take a long time off from work if you want to do them on a full-time basis to complete the program. And if you're not able to attend classes on campus, you can still follow all the courses online. We have been doing that over the past year because of the COVID pandemic conditions in Turkey and as well as everywhere else. But we're fully prepared and able to offer that to students both in Turkey and outside of Turkey. And the final reason, of course, is being affordable. So we know that graduate education is a serious investment of your money or your family's money, because you think the idea is that you get a good return on that investment. In that sense, our tuition is very competitive. When you look at it, when you look at the tuition of similar programs outside of Turkey. And what Turkey offers, especially if you're coming from abroad, it's lower living costs than graduate options in other countries such as the United States UK, Australia, Germany even. So this is something to be considered when you're making these choices. And finally, simpler, let's say not entirely simple, but simpler visa and student residence procedures than in some of the other more traditional graduate destinations. Now, we talked about the programs, about our sort of 26 different graduate, master, and PhD programs. The other thing I mentioned at the beginning in the overview was that we have over 70 faculty members who are internationally recognized. Here, I just want to show a couple of examples of what we mean by that. There's a lot more, but because of time, these are recent examples. So BAGEP is the Science Academy of Turkey, and every year they give awards to young researchers who are doing cutting-edge research that is elevating the quality of science in Turkey and worldwide. So from our professors, so Koç University was, again, amongst the highest recipient, as an institution, amongst the highest recipient of awards. And our School of Medicine, Professor Atay Vural, who is also part of the our program in neuroscience, was one of the awardees this year. In nursing, for example, our Dean of the School of Nursing, Professor Ayşe Karada, was this year the silver winner in the World Union of Wound Healing Societies and the Journal of Wound Care Award. And our School of Nursing continuously receives awards for all of their research and specific programs that they have been developing year after year. Another way of looking at this, let's say, is in neuroscience, and here I will ask Yasemin Hoca to give us more detail. The neuroscience program, for example, has a seminar series where they invite high-profile speakers from around the world to share their latest thinking and work with our graduate students and the public in general. So Yasemin Hoca, can you tell us a bit more about maybe some of the recent seminars, who has been invited, actually, highlights for you?
Yesterday, we had the Emre Yakshi from Kavli Institute of Neuroscience from Norway. And this Friday, we will be hosting another neuroscience talk. Actually, Ed Boyden from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and it's actually founder of the optogenetic methodology. So we are trying to provide the best scientific environment for our students to get the new knowledges, and also to be able to discuss with this distinguished scientists and to make a collaborative environment for them.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And one of the things that I have seen the effect of, the quality of our faculty members is they know all of these distinguished, researchers around the world. That gives a lot of opportunities for our graduate students that after they finish their master's, for example, if they want to apply to a prestigious PhD program abroad, they have that network because of our faculty members. Or if after they complete their PhD programs, if they want to find postdoctoral positions or lecturer or assistant professor positions at very good universities around the world, they are able to do so because, again, of the networks of our professors. Similarly, for example, our cellular and molecular medicine, they organize the seminar series in which we invite, of course, our own professors, but also professors. This is an example from, Dr. Murat Karabajak from Harvard Medical School. And again, these are, you will see more information about this on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website and on their Instagram account. And you really will be amazed at the names that they're coming to talk to our students every semester. Now, we have briefly talked about faculty members, but I think the best thing to do after today is to go onto our website and you can see the profiles of each of the faculty members in each program and see what they're working on. Now, when we look at our students in the graduate school, as I said, we have now over 200 students. Most of them are PhD students. And as I mentioned before, it's quite impressive that in a very short time, we now have 10% of our total student body made up of international students. When we look at the distribution by program, as Yasemin Hoca was mentioning, The biggest programs are in neuroscience and cellular and molecular medicine, and then the master's in nursing. Of course, the other programs have different numbers of students, and we want to increase the number of students in those programs. Our alumni, so after people have finished, a master's or a PhD degree at the Graduate School of Health Sciences, they're able to find, very good positions, especially in academia. These are just some examples of the universities where they have continued their studies or have found postdoctoral positions after graduation. Yasemin Hoca, do you want to maybe talk to us a little bit more about neuroscience alumni? Like
actually, we have just 3 PhD students finished the PhD, get the PhD degree since we are a new graduate school, and one of them is working at the one of the universities at the United States, and one is working at the İzmir Katip Çelebi University as a faculty member, and one is working as a postdoc at the Koç University for the neuroscience. But we will, have more students that will graduate this year, and they are, we are sending the reference letters, and we are trying to contact with the faculty members from Europe and the USA, and also Korea. So we'll see. I think they are getting very good knowledge and good practice. So a lot of research laboratories. Actually, I am just getting emails asking if do you have students that will graduate, so we can offer the postdoc positions. It's a good thing for us.
Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, so it's a young graduate school, but as Professor Yasemin is saying, like, there is a lot of demand for our alumni because of the reputation of Koç University and the quality of our faculty members and the teaching and the opportunities that we give to graduate students. If you want to, for example, see examples of the type of theses, the topics that our alumni have written, you can find that on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website. You can see the address at the bottom of the screen. These are listed by year and by program, but you can see all the different theses there and who were their advisors. So this could give you an idea if you have already started considering applying or you are in the process of submitting your application, to know who would be a suitable advisor for you, depending on the topics that you're interested in. So you can see, the title. You cannot see the thesis there, let's say, but you can see the title. So another part of the reason why our Graduate School of Health Sciences is great is the infrastructure and laboratories specifically. So here I'm going to ask Professor Yasemin to tell us more about the different laboratories that are available to graduate students.
Again, Melissa, I thank you very much to you. And we have several laboratories actually with a brand new infrastructure. And these laboratories are located some at the main campus, some at the health campus. And we will share the information about the Research Center for Translational Medicine, KUTTAM. And actually, KUTTAM is the umbrella of our laboratories. So we use the KUTTAM laboratories. Other than that, we have the microbiology laboratory. BCL3 facility is included in that. And as I said, that Koç University İş Bankası Infectious Disease Center has this BCL3 facility, which is important for the viral, especially for the virus studies. And we have genomic and proteomic laboratories at the KUTTAM. And other than that, stem gel and gene transplant laboratory is present. It is a kind of separate laboratory not under the umbrella of the KUTTAM. And then we have the hemorrhology laboratory, especially physiology department is working with this, as well as neurophysiology laboratory. Physiology department faculty members are working on these laboratories. We have EEG facility both in the hospital and also at the physiology department. And I have to say that under the umbrella of KUTTAM, we have a very good microscopy laboratory with confocal microscope, light sheet microscope, and a new technology, STET microscope, giving the resolution of near the electron microscopy, as well as we have the electron microscope. So it is a very good microscopy facility. I mean, in Europe or in Turkey or in US maybe, it is difficult to find a place that gets all this microscopy infrastructure. And we have anatomy laboratories is also used for the undergrad students, but if you want, you can also use that. And we have other multidisciplinary laboratories, but maybe we can continue with the introduction of the KUTTAM. KUTTAM is the center for Koç University Translational Medicine Research Center. It is actually contains a lot of infrastructure, a government-supported initiative. This research center is a government-supported center. So university and the government and the industry makes a cooperation here in order to maximize and produce the biomedical devices. But other than the biomedical devices with this infrastructure, we just increased our research capacities for other than the biomedical research also. In addition to biomedical research, we increased our research capacities with the KUTTAM. And in the KUTTAM, although we are using the laboratories of the KUTTAM, other faculties like the science, engineering faculty members, they are also using. So it provides a multidisciplinary work area. So it produces the fruitful ideas and the scientific research. And the KUTTAM is located in both Koç University main campus and also at the hospital. You can see some details here, and actually I will not go in that, but we have 8 laboratories here, also molecular medicine laboratory, cellular molecular imaging laboratory, as I described the imaging facility, omics laboratory for the proteomics and the motion analysis, and cognition laboratory at the hospital, working on the humans and the patients. We have animal research facility, very brand new, very good. And neurodegeneration research laboratory we have at the hospital. We have biomechanic and endurance laboratory containing a lot of 3D printers. And we have nanoscale prototype laboratory at the umbrella of the KUTTAM. So these laboratories also provide interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary work to be developed and conducted at our research center.
Mm-hmm. So here we put some details of some of the other laboratories, which you can also find on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website if you want to know the specific devices that are available. Then you can find all of that information there. So this we're going to skip, but as I said, you can find it as well on the website. Now we're going to continue to talk a bit more about the admission process to our graduate programs, to our master and PhD programs. So the first thing to know is that the graduate school accepts students for 2 intakes. The fall, which for Turkey, that means September, October, and spring, which usually means February. So you can start your program either in fall or spring. The other key principle to keep in mind about our admissions at the graduate school is that It's selective. We're looking for outstanding students, both from Turkey and abroad, who have demonstrated excellent academic and research performance and interest and can show potential for becoming excellent researchers as graduate students. And the other key word here is holistic. So the graduate school faculty members, they have committees to select for each program the master and PhD students, and they look at the combination of application documents. So there isn't a single element or application item that determines whether an applicant is accepted or rejected, because we do get this question if it's a question of GPA or which university they graduated from, or about GRE test scores. It's really about the whole package, and we will show what the whole package means in a couple of slides. All applications are evaluated via our online application system, which you can see on the screen at the bottom. It's apply.ku.edu.tr. This is, of course, also available on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website. We do not receive any applications via email or by sending application documents to individual faculty members. However, what we recommend is that if you are going to be applying to a PhD program, before you submit your application, you can contact individual faculty members of the program with your academic CV, maybe a list of publications that you have worked on or have been part of, so that and an outline of your research interest or the subjects that you're interested in, so that professor can give you an informal feedback about whether you would be a good fit with their group or their laboratory. In that sense, it will help you to save time and effort, because if the topics you're interested in are not part of their current or planned work in the near future, then even though you may be an excellent candidate, you may not be admitted to the program because there's no alignment between what you're interested in and what they're working on. So we know, for example, in some PhD programs in Europe, you do need to have a formal or official approval from one of the program faculty members in order to apply. In our case, it's not that way. You can apply without even having contacted anyone, but we strongly recommend for PhD programs that you do contact faculty members, one or two, once you have checked their profiles, their publications, what they're working on, and ask to have informal feedback. Now, shortlisted candidates are then selected by faculty members and they are invited to an interview. After all interviews have been completed, then final admission results are sent to all candidates, both those who will be accepted and those that will be rejected, 6 to 8 weeks after, as I said, the interviews are completed. So it does take a while, but of course that's common for selective graduate programs. For the fall 2021 admission period, the applications are now open. They open on the 5th of April, and they will be closing on the 20th of June. So there's still about a month for you to submit your application if you have not started yet, or if you are in the process of submitting your application, you still have until the 20th of June. If you are not ready yet, because, for example, you won't be graduating until like later this year, for example, from your bachelor's or master's degree, as we mentioned, you can also apply for spring admission. The application period will be announced on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website around end of October or early October, sorry. So you can see the deadlines there. It's usually in December, so you can prepare yourself accordingly. The process of admission is as follows. As we mentioned, everything is done through our online application system or portal, which is apply.ku.edu.tr. So the first step is to prepare your application with all the required documents and information. So they should be complete as much as possible, and we'll explain what that means in the next slide. All documents should be in English or Turkish. For example, if you include any documents in a different language than English or Turkish, unfortunately, we do not have the capacity to interpret them and translate to see what it means. And that would immediately sort of disqualify you as a candidate. So please keep that in mind. They should also be valid. For example, in the sense of English test scores should be from the past 2 years. GRE, like graduate admission test scores, should also be within the valid period. and official. So these should be official transcripts from your university, your diploma, and anything else. After you have uploaded all of your documents, then you submit your application. One element of the application is recommendation letters. You do not upload recommendation letters given to you by referees or recommenders. You ask them to submit a letter on your behalf or to fill out a form on your behalf. So what you put on the form is their contact details. So these should be preferably academic referees who have supervised you in an academic environment. So they could have been your teachers in a specific course or been your thesis supervisors in a master program or a graduation project that you may have had in your undergraduate degree. They do have time to submit their reference up to a week, maximum 2 after the deadline. So as I mentioned before, this year our deadline is 20th of June. So you should make sure that your referees do not submit their references too late, too much later than that. So it shouldn't be in July because by then the faculty members would have been looking at all of the applications by then. So our program faculty coordinators, they would be looking at the applications and they will make a short list of candidates that they consider have good potential based on the applications. And then they will be invited by the Graduate School of Health Sciences via email to attend an in-person, this is of course not applicable this year still, but through an online interview with the panel. Here I'm going to ask Yasemin Hoca to tell us a little bit more about what that interview is like, who is in the interview panel, usually how long does it take, what type of questions should shortlisted candidates expect.
Actually, we are inviting all the program faculty members. I mean, if it is a neuroscience application, then we invite the neuroscience faculty members. And if the faculty members are interested in your CV and your application, they come to the interview. And actually, it is like 4 or 5 professors just trying to understand what is your intention to come to program, who you are, where you are graduated, why do you choose this program, in the future, what do you want to do? So we ask this kind of questions, and also we ask if it is the program requires a kind of laboratory work. So if you have the experience, previous experience about the laboratory techniques, so what do you know? Did you study any other laboratories previously? So it's a kind of these questions, and it usually lasts like 20 to 30 minutes most.
Okay, perfect. One thing to mention, these interviews usually happen once. So if for some reason you're not able to attend the interview, what we kindly ask you is to tell the Graduate School of Health Sciences in advance so that they can reschedule if possible. But you do have to understand that you have to combine the schedules of very, very busy professors to attend this interview. So you have to try as much as possible to attend the interview on time and be prepared to be able to, as Professor Yasemin said, explain your intentions, your background, your specific skills, experience, everything that you can talk about to demonstrate that you would be a strong and valuable candidate to the program. Okay, so after the interview, then the faculty members decide on the final list of students that they want to offer admission. And some of those will receive a full admission and some may receive a conditional admission offer. A full admission will include the details about the tuition. If there is a scholarship awarded, the details of the scholarship, the benefits, if there are any, and when and how to accept the offer, okay? If it's a conditional admission, it's usually if the candidate, for example, has very strong credentials in every way, but maybe missing an English proficiency score, or for example, they will be graduating in the summer, so they applied with a provisional graduation certificate, so they need to bring, for example, the final graduation diploma, official documents, or things like that. So all of the conditions will be specified in the letter. So if you decide after you have received your admission offer to join the program, then you're asked by the application system to mark your decision online, on the system to say, yes, I will be coming to join the program, or not, I will decline the offer, okay? And then after that, it's the process of enrolling as a new student, and I will talk about that in a few slides. So for this year, for example, we're expecting enrollment to take place in mid-September, and you should bring all original documents that will be shown in the next few slides. There's also an orientation program that it's very, very important that you attend in order to be fully prepared to take on all of the activities and courses of the first semester, and just really have the best start in the program. So what are the application requirements? Again, all of this information is written in the same way on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website. For PhD programs, they will look at your university transcript. So if you have completed, you should include both of your bachelor's and your master's. If you have completed a master's degree, your transcripts. And for the latest degree that you apply with, your GPA should be a minimum of 3 out of 4. On the application form, you can find the relevant, you can choose which grading scale your university used, whether that's out of 100 or 20 or any other scale. Then you can choose the relevant scale and put your GPA, and then the graduate school will calculate if that is equivalent to 3 or higher. You should include 3 contact details for 3 referees who will provide 3 recommendation letters. As we said, preferably academic referees. There are 2 test scores that are very important that you include in your application. One is to demonstrate your level of English proficiency, because the programs are taught in English, with the exception of the PhD in nursing. For that, you do not need to provide a TOEFL score, of course. The minimum score is 80. For Turkish applicants, you do not need to have TOEFL. You can apply with, for example, YDS, which is a national English proficiency exam. The other exam is for graduate admissions, especially to demonstrate your level of quantitative and critical analysis. So the GRE is the preferred exam for the Graduate School of Health Sciences and most of our graduate schools. You should have a minimum of 156 points on the quantitative section. If you're a Turkish applicant, you can apply with ALES. Please make sure that you follow the dates of the exams for this year. If you're not able to take, or you were not able to take the exam for this year, you should indicate that on the form and the reasons and the why. Then on ALES, the minimum score is 70 on the quantitative section. If you're applying for one of our joint programs with the Graduate School of Sciences and Engineering, the minimum is 80. As I mentioned, the transcripts are important to see which courses you took in your undergraduate or master's degree. That would be relevant to show that you have the right knowledge for the PhD program level courses. And one of the most important elements is the last one here, the statement of purpose. So the statement of purpose is not a research proposal, and it's not a personal essay. It's a kind of combination of both, in the sense that you're asked to explain why you want to join, for example, the PhD in neuroscience or in immunology. What are the experience and skills and knowledge that you have gained previously that would make you a good candidate? What are your future plans after graduating from this program, and how you would think doing the program at Koç University would benefit you, and what you would bring to the program, either as a Turkish or as an international candidate. We have very specific guidance about how to write a strong statement of purpose on our website, on the International Admissions website, and I will put the address at the end so that you can have a look at that. For master programs, the requirements are exactly the same as the PhD requirements, just the GPA score, the minimum score, it's slightly lower, it's 2.7 out of 4. And instead of 3 recommendation letters, you should have at least 2 recommendation letters. If you want to put 3, you can do that, but the minimum is, or the required is 2 recommendation letters. The TOEFL and GRE and ALES and YDS scores are also the same, so there's no change in that. And the other requirements such as transcript and statement of purpose is also similar. One thing, of course, is if you're applying for a PhD program, the statement of purpose should also highlight any type of published research that you may have done before as a master's student. If you have completed a master's degree, mention who was your supervisor. These are general kind of tips that we provide to all graduate applicants. Okay, so where to find more guidance? We have examples, we have what not to do, what to do, both on the international.ku.edu.tr website. You will find it under graduate programs, how to apply section, and on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website. Now, COVID, of course, since last year has been affecting everything in our lives, including admissions for graduate programs, both in Turkey and in any university around the world. So when it comes to test scores such as GRE and TOEFL, we know that some international applicants and Turkish applicants may have faced difficulties because test centers are closed. So you can still apply without GRE and TOEFL, but you need to indicate that on the application form. If everything else in your application is very strong, such as your GPA, the university you graduated from, the recommendation letters, your CV, your statement of purpose, you may be shortlisted. And if you perform very well in the interview, then you may receive a conditional admission. That means that you will still need to provide whether it's the GRE or the TOEFL or both, either by the week when we enroll students or during the first semester of the program. So this is the flexibility that the university is offering to those candidates who even now, as of May 2021, cannot take the test in their cities or the countries that they live in. If it's related to your diploma, we know this is the case, for example, for some students that receive their final diploma, certificates much later than graduation. You can apply again with official documents from your university stating that you have completed your degree and your final GPA. The other thing we wanted to address today is we are, of course, being asked what are the plans for the fall 2021 semester, whether the university is going to be offering its programs face-to-face or remotely through online education. The answer is, unfortunately, we don't know yet. Our president has expressed that we can be cautiously optimistic based on the situation in Turkey. We just came out of a strict lockdown yesterday. Yesterday. But of course, we don't know if what will happen between now and September. The earliest we will be able to know and be able to inform admitted candidates would be August. This is our estimate. Before then, unfortunately, we cannot tell you if you need to prepare to come to Turkey, if you're abroad or if you're in a different part of Turkey to come to Istanbul. So please bear with us because we are all in the same. We are experiencing the same uncertainty as you. We need to follow national regulations from the Higher Education Council of Turkey, not only us, but every university in Turkey. In case we are not able to start our fall 2021 semester as normal, let's say face-to-face teaching, then we will continue doing what we have been doing in the past year, which is online teaching. It has gone so far very well. Of course, it's not easy, both for faculty members and students, but in terms of the infrastructure, the learning management systems, the grading, everything that we have been doing this year has gone well in that sense. So there's nothing to worry about in that sense. So as I said, if you're admitted to one of our master or PhD programs, first of all, congratulations, because you're one of a very, very few and selected group of students every year. So you will be invited by the Graduate School of Health Sciences to an orientation that is, some activities are done specifically for Graduate School of Health Sciences students, and some of them are for all of our graduate students that will join in the fall. So this includes registration, moving to graduate student housing in case you will be using our dormitory housing. Then for international students, there is a separate orientation activity, which is more about very practical things about living in Istanbul and in Turkey and registering a mobile phone, health insurance, and things like that. There's also a mandatory Office of Learning and Teaching training about teaching practices. And when it comes to registration, you can see here the list of documents that you will be asked to provide by September. So this is just for you to know what to start getting ready. If you are accepted to one of our master or PhD programs on a tuition payment basis, you should have then also completed the payment of the first semester of the program. Now we come to the topic of tuition fees. So the tuition fees for the academic year 2021-2022 are shown here on screen. So all of our programs at the Graduate School of Health Sciences are tuition-based programs except for nursing. So I have to highlight that. So most students for nursing are to our PhD program in nursing and accepted with full scholarships. For the other programs, if you're a Turkish citizen, the tuition will be charged in Turkish lira. And if you're a non-Turkish citizen, then it will be charged in dollars. We do have scholarships, which can be of 25%, 50%, or 100% discount on the tuition that is shown here. In terms of how to be considered for the scholarship, there are no separate forms or separate deadlines. So if you submit your application to any of these programs, when you're being evaluated for admission, at the same time you're being evaluated for scholarship based on your academic merit. So these are not based on financial need, but on academic merit basis. And this decision is made by the Science Committee of the Graduate School of Health Sciences. So you don't need to do anything else. You just apply for the program. And if you are offered admission or conditional admission, then the offer letter will include details of whether you have been awarded a scholarship or not. And if you have, it will detail the type of scholarship you have received. If you do not receive a scholarship for the program, then from now you should start considering other sources of funding for your graduate studies. This could include your current employer as part of their human resource support plans. It could be national or international loans that you may have access to depending on the country that you are from or that you're living in. And of course, friends, family, or your personal savings to cover the cost of your graduate studies. If you are awarded a scholarship, a full scholarship, there are different sources of that scholarship for the Graduate School of Health Sciences, and this is in general for all graduate programs at Koç University. So for full-time PhD students, then if you're offered 100% tuition waiver or exemption, then you would also be offered a monthly stipend, which is a specific amount, which then increases after you have successfully completed or passed your PhD qualifier exam. You may also be offered dormitory housing, or if you, for example, have family or dormitory housing is not suitable for families, so you could choose to receive housing aid to support your housing costs in Istanbul. You would also receive private health insurance with some limited coverage, a meal card. This is in case you have a car, but importantly, things like this. For example, there is a travel grant which you can apply to attend specific scientific conferences to present your work after you have been at the program for a couple of years and you have worked with your professor. For full-time master with thesis students, please note that this is for master with thesis, then there are also 100% tuition waiver type scholarships that may include a stipend, housing aid, health insurance, and some limited travel support to attend scientific events. So the ones I mentioned before, let me go back. These are scholarships which are funded by Koç University itself, meaning this comes from the central budget of the university with the aim of, again, advancing research and the impact of the research of our university in Turkey and worldwide. However, we also have other sources. One of them is project-based scholarships, which are held by individual professors in which they apply, for example, for projects with industry collaborators or for the Turkish government who has specific project grants, or to the European Commission or any other institution. So in that sense, let's say the scholarship package could also be 100% tuition waiver or exemption, but what will vary is the monthly stipend. That will depend on the project and the amount of money essentially that the professor has to distribute amongst master, PhD, and postdocs for that project and for the duration of the project. And finally, we have the one you see on the left-hand side, the TÜBİTAK BİDEB scholarship. This is only for Turkish applicants, okay, or people who have been admitted to the programs. And it's something that the Graduate School of Health Sciences will explain in more detail after you receive your offer. The one on the right-hand side is for only international candidates. So the process is as follows. You apply to one of our PhD, and this is, please note that this is for PhD programs. You apply to one of our PhD programs in the Graduate School of Health Sciences, and you're offered admission. One of the faculty members who will, let's say, select you for supervision will also inform the graduate school that they would like to fund you through the Turkish scholarship program. We provide that information to the government agency in Turkey. It's called YTB. It's a very long name in Turkish, which I'm not going to say right now. But we provide that list and then they approve the scholarship. You do need to apply on their system as well so that you have an identification number that they can find in the system and mark you as a Koç University doctoral scholarship recipient. But in terms of the benefit, it also means 100% tuition waiver exemption, a monthly stipend, which you can find the details on the website that it's shown on the screen, turkiyebursları.gov.tr. But importantly, I think it covers something that our central budget scholarships or project scholarships do not cover, which is the flight from your country of residence to Turkey, and also housing support, okay? And they also provide help in terms of opening a bank account, getting a tax number, and other things. If we look at, for example, how are our current students funding, this is not entirely up to date, but it kind of gives you an idea. Most of our graduate students at the Graduate School of Health Sciences are actually funded by the university itself. This is quite unique in Turkey and something that we're proud of, but of course, our professors are working very hard to also diversify the source of funding for our students so that we have more students funded through projects, through other funding types like Turkish scholarships that I mentioned. And of course, we keep seeing more and more demand from professionals who want to complete their graduate studies, but on a paying basis. So because they want to advance it, for career advancement purposes. So this is the current kind of distribution. Finally, if you are joining us and you're still in the middle of your undergraduate studies, you're not going to be graduating in the next year or this year or next year, we encourage you to consider our summer research program for undergraduate students. So this happens every summer between July and August. The applications for this year, unfortunately, now have closed, but it's something you may consider or to tell friends that you know may be interested for next year. It's a free program, there's no tuition, and you come and do a research internship with one of our faculty members in the School of Medicine or as part of the Graduate School of Health Sciences at one of these amazing laboratories that we heard about before, or the research centers like KUTTAM. It's project-based, so you will be working on a specific project with a professor and interacting with his or her PhD students, master students, and getting to know what life is like as a researcher at Koç University. There are other opportunities if you are, for example, in your undergraduate program or in your master's program to come and do brief research visits. But for that, we kindly ask you to contact individual professors to ask if they can host you or what type of support you may have or not, okay? So with that, we have come to the end of the session. Here you can see the contact details for our international admissions team. We can see our Instagram account, our website, and our email address. If you want, you can also book an online one-on-one session through our website in which we can answer specific questions about your specific situation and answer any doubts. And if you're, as I said, please do visit the Graduate School of Health Sciences website. This is their email, and you can also follow them on Instagram. It's a great way to see what life is like as a student there and see all of the amazing like research and scientific activities that are organized every month for students and faculty of the graduate school. With that, I would like to now ask Yasemin Hoca to give us some final reflections. I want to ask personally, for example, what you are looking for in graduate candidates, specifically PhD candidates, that would work, for example, with you.
For the PhD candidate, that would, I mean, if I am looking, actually, I just want to that for that candidate to have the ability or the past experience with the animal models of the neurological disease, or just the animal certificate to do experiments, because I am doing the in vivo animal experiments most of the time. And also I am just looking for a dedicated person. I mean, the PhD education, although it's a kind of taking lectures, but also spending time on doing the experiment. And PhD life is actually difficult, I know. And not every day you get the good results from your experiments. So I'm just looking for a strong and dedicated person, especially. I want to say as a last sentence, we are looking for your applications for all of our programs. And thank you for listening our webinar.
Thank you very much, Yasemin Hoca. We do have a couple of questions that were sent before the webinar to our email address. So I want to go through that. It's 3 questions. One of them was, if my undergraduate degree is not in medicine, can I still join the neuroscience degree?
Yes, of course. We are accepting from all other different areas. Since the neuroscience is the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary program, actually we just like the application from different backgrounds. So combination of medicine with the engineering and the social sciences is a kind of very fruitful and producing a good interdisciplinary work. So please apply. Don't mind that graduation.
Okay. We had another question here, which was, what type of international collaboration opportunities there would be as a graduate, as a PhD student? It didn't specify for which program, but if you can think of maybe some examples from faculty members that you know of, or in your own case.
Yeah, actually, we have several different faculty members having the collaborations with the US, Europe, and also, as I said, South Korea. So they can provide, I mean, also we have a faculty member, not the full-time, but the part-time faculty members. One is located at the Chicago, one is located at the Germany. And like this, we have, I think, like 10 faculty members, part-time faculty members. So they are providing the collaborative work. I mean, you can work here for like 6-8 months here and then for 6 months there. So you can combine the research both there and you do here, and then you can make your PhD thesis from this. And other than that, a lot of our faculty members have contacts with the faculty members of the well-known universities. So this also provides the ability to work with that faculties to do collaborative research. But I mean, I cannot list now, but this is very common in our faculty members.
Okay. Finally, we had a question, which is, again, for PhD programs, asking, is there a minimum of publications that a master's student should have to apply for the PhD program? And once as a PhD, is there a minimum of publications per year that you're expecting for PhD students? Is there a requirement to publish a number of papers or, or specific, what's the academic output that it's expected from PhD students, I guess?
Actually, for the master's, yeah, I mean, when we are looking for the PhD applications coming from the master's degree, actually, if you don't have a publication, it's a kind of makes a question mark on the professor that is interested with you. But this is not, I mean, we are not putting strict lines. So if you don't have publications, but if you have good abilities in several laboratory techniques, and if the faculty member needs this laboratory techniques, then he or she may recruit you. So there are no strict rules, but it is a good thing to have a publication from your master studies. For the PhD, actually, we don't have, again, strict rules, but as we discussed that, since we will try to get the ORPHEUS label, so we are discussing to have at least 3 publications at the end of your PhD education. So it is like each year you may have to publish 1 paper, but it's not like we are asking each year what you are publishing. But you can say that during your PhD thesis presentation, I have very strong data, but I will publish in like Nature Medicine, high impact journals. So actually, you don't need to provide the published paper in that case. Mm-hmm. If you have a good data with a possible publication in a high impact journal. So it's not, we don't have the rules, but as we get the label with the ORPHEUS, we may have in that time.
Okay, great. Now, one final question, this is from me because it was also asked at a different webinar, and I think it would be relevant to also ask for those who may be wondering, which is about the impact of COVID, restrictions in terms of our campus activities. How have our graduate students been able to continue their research, especially PhD students? How have they been able to continue their research during, last year and earlier this year? Are all labs open? Some are open, some closed. How is it being managed?
For the Graduate School of Health Sciences, actually, we were lucky since we are doing the health-related studies, and especially at our main campus, COVID-related research continued without any kind of interruption. But for all the other research studies, they are doing their research. Our PhD students are doing their research. Actually, we have a campus COVID task force from the faculty members and the other members of the how to say idare. So
teams.
So they are arranging the how can you enter the laboratories, how many people can be at the laboratory at the same time. So there are regulations, there are several preventions, and there are lists how to work at the lab. So you just get you will just send an email and then say that I want to work at this hours, at this time, and at this laboratory, and then they schedule everything. So you can safely go do your experiment and come back. At the hospital side, since hospital is a hospital with the everything, so it is a little bit more relaxed compared to the main campus. So all the laboratories are running without any kind of interruption.
Okay.
During also all the close-ups.
Yeah.
Our students came to do experiments. We provided the letter that they are doing an important health-related research.
Okay, that's good to know, because yeah, in a way, it's a very busy period, but you can be exempted from some of the movement restrictions that we had in Turkey too. Okay. So I think with that, we're going to close today's webinar. Thank you so much, Professor Yasemin, for your time, giving us an insight into the programs, and I think it's very valuable to know what a specific faculty member looks for in candidates. So I hope all of our participants have enjoyed today's webinar, have found it useful. We will be posting this video on our YouTube channel under our Graduate School of Health Sciences playlist, so you can find it and watch it anytime, and you will receive it via email after today's webinar as well. So with that, I want to thank you. I want to thank our colleagues in the Graduate School of Health Sciences as well for preparing today's webinar. And let's keep in touch. As Yasemin just said, we look forward to receiving your applications for this fall 2021 period. And do get in touch if you have any questions before then. Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll finish now.